Welcome to your astrological synastry chart report. This is the Peace Dealer, and I hope you gain the utmost of quality from this report. Definitely excited to do this one, as it features the relationship between Sun in Gemini and Sun in Taurus. Gemini and Taurus, or let me backtrack. In astrology, there are certain, let me backtrack again. Not every, or there isn't necessarily a combination that's better than the other. Like if you think of the most incompatible relationship pairs, that can rival some of the best relationship pairs, depending on other factors, as much as like timing. Like if you meet someone you're horribly compatible with at the right time, it could actually be the best thing ever. But despite that, there's certain astrological pairings that are distinct and stick out. And one of those pairings is Taurus and Gemini, and alternatively Gemini and Scorpio. I reference those two because this specific archetype denotes the affinity that is created due to Gemini's presence. The affinity for Scorpio is the 8th house and Gemini is the 8th house. The affinity for Taurus is the 2nd house and Gemini is the 2nd house. So for you as a Scorpio rising, you actually experience this affinity in both ways. So that is almost as fascinating as seeing that not only his sun, but his moon is on your south and north node. So like I can easily say, not only is this person your soulmate and he is your soulmate, which I'll get into, I can also say you are completely destined to meet this man. In fact, this man, from before you were both even born, specifically arranged to meet you in this life. We know this because of the supernatural feeling of familiarity indicated by this south node, Sagittarius. So let's go in because this is actually why I do astrology. I know like I do all these goofy videos and you see me go live, but this is actually why I do astrology. Like this is what I specialize in: relationship astrology, bridging the understanding of, people and how we each activate our energies. This is what I literally the most passionate about, because there's truly magic when you examine the relationship between two or more people. And as you'll see, because this relationship is super magic. In fact, we could say he is super magic right off the fact that he has a perfect opposition. I want to say that one more time. 4 degrees Gemini sun, 4 degrees Sagittarius moon. This is one super magical motherfucker. And excuse my language, but I seriously mean that. Oh my gosh. He has Jupiter and Uranus on his moon. Like this is magic unhitherto parallel. Our president has, or rather President Trump has a Sagittarius moon, Gemini sun, same as Joan Rivers, just to give you like a couple archetypes. So, this is definitely someone who is not afraid at all to express the truth. He has the God of War on his sun. So, I mean, very much so a warrior of truth. Okay. And a fellow Gemini brother. So other than that, this is definitely going to be a very fun synastry report. I'm already super excited. And before I really go in, the reason why I said that he is your soulmate is because we want to establish once again, um, Taurus and Gemini are one of the most karmic partnerships of all time. If we think about how Gemini has the awareness of a child and is next to Taurus, the zodiac starts with Aries, okay? And then you have Taurus and then Gemini. This is initial awareness. So Gemini is looking out at all the potential and possibility. He's next to gorgeous Cancer, all right? Leo is there, shining. Virgo is literally perfect. Gemini loves artistic Libra, and then there's sexy Scorpio, and then there's their shining Empress, Diva, Sagittarius, and then the irresistible Capricorn and extraordinary Aquarius and divine Pisces. One thing with Gemini is that it's so hard for us to, like, you know, figure out, like, who do we choose? Well, there's so much to explore, and there's so much stronger and more powerful signs than on the surface what Taurus may appear, which is a bit boring. Okay, but I can honestly say, growing up more mature, I have a newfound appreciation for Taurus, because what Gemini learns is, yeah, there's all these other signs and potential, but when it comes to relationships, no one will ever be as loyal as Taurus. I'll say that again. No one will ever be as loyal as Taurus. And like, I kind of want to present that dynamic because, you know, whereas Gemini could be the curious, mischievous, spirit, it's Taurus that teaches Gemini, like, who has your back though? Like, all these people you're curious about, do they have your back? And Taurus has Gemini's back. Taurus could be very hard on Gemini because, you know, we could be superficial and you have someone solid like yourself, whereas Gemini could clash with Taurus because Taurus doesn't always see what Gemini can see. And it's these clashes that actually, you know, create a much stronger connection. I'm really biased though, because my heart is in Taurus and my soul is in Cap. So like, I connect with earth signs more solidly than most Geminis. But despite that, whether he has, I mean, we see he doesn't have, he has Mercury. He has Mercury. That's very significant. But we see he doesn't have any much else prominent Earth. That doesn't really matter anyway, because as we've established, he's clear, like, you clearly decided to meet before you were even born, which is so awesome. This is, oh my gosh. The reason why I'm excited is because this chart right here proves undeniably the fact that souls can prearrange their meetings with each other. So thank you. Thank you so much, because you just helped me prove this. Undeniably. Like, if anyone even wants to debate me on this, or if anyone thinks otherwise, like, boom, we just seen the proof. I'm gonna break it down. But once again, like, it's very important that we really consider the affinity of Taurus and Gemini, because Taurus is one of the most slept on zodiac signs of all time. A lot of people are willing to overlook the solid quality of Taurus because they're, you know, we see Sagittarius shining and then Libra is so artistic. Like, it's so easy to miss Taurus in the bunch when Taurus is the realist. Like, there's no one, the only one realer than Taurus is Virgo sometimes, and then Capricorn, but Taurus will be there by your side. So I just have to say that first. And the reason why the affinity is so amazing is because the second house of Taurus is the most important house for Taurus. Taurus rules the second house of manifestation. The second house of manifestation for Taurus is Gemini, because Taurus takes their valuable identity and they manifest with their ideas. So what Geminis do is they're the angels that literally manifest every single idea that Taurus has. Whereas Taurus has the Gemini's back and can really point out the blind spots. In its most positive, okay, Gemini can rest assured that they have the most firm foundation to really soar to the greatest heights. At its worst, the Taurus can completely finesse and steal from the Gemini, because remember, 12th house Taurus could be, you know, hidden enemies in the sense of stealing possessions. And my mother had a Taurus manager. Oh my gosh, I loved her so much. Like I got along with her so well. It's weird. I even still really like her. Like I just have this energetic connection with her. A much older woman, not too old, but like she completely finessed my mother. Like, oh my God, even me. My mom and I found out that she was even trying to pit us against each other and like whatever. But I mean, she's just so charming. And it's weird. Like, even though she did that, if I saw her, like, I would still say hi. Even though what she did was really messed up, like, I still really like her. So, I mean, it's interesting. But that 12th house connection is a spiritual connection because it bridges a past life and also, a sense of where you're going to be able to communicate with this person things that they wouldn't tell anybody else. So the second house, see, it's very important because you are not his. Okay. He belongs to you. Let me say that again. You do not belong to him. He belongs to you. This is very important. I had to learn this the hard way. I thought it was reciprocal, but it's really not. Your second house is Gemini. So like energetically, he is the manifestation of your spirit. Just wanted to kind of express that first. I know that sounds possessive, but Taurus is literally possession. It is the possessive zodiac sign. So like, yeah. But other than that, to really kind of get into the synastry reading, you're both born with the same north node, and you both have adjacent Saturns. So what does this mean? Because you have Saturn retrograde. Oh, no, never mind. He was born 83. So, okay, what does this mean? You both have the same north node, right? So I like to bring in the analogy of Saturn incarnation planes. Wait, no, his Saturn is in Libra. I like to bring in the analogy of Saturn incarnation planes. So he was in the Saturn and Libra plane, and you were in the Saturn and Scorpio plane. Okay, so incarnation planes represent the 2.5 years, because Saturn does a lot. Saturn does everything in zodiac. Saturn tests, Saturn gives integrity, but what a lot of people don't know Saturn does is Saturn manifests and incarnates the souls of each group. Each karmic Saturn group has karma that they share. This is kind of also why they are going to go to school around the same time, give or take 1 or 2 years. And they're going to learn similar lessons in this life that really relate to that energy. So when he was born, he was a part of the Saturn in Libra incarnation plane, because Saturn represents the material realm. And so you can think of this as bringing souls from the non-material to the material realm. This is why when they're born, Saturn maps out their 30 years of development, amongst other things. So he was on a Saturn Libra plane. When Saturn entered Libra, the North Node was in Cancer. And then when the North Node entered Gemini, all the North Node Cancer people left the plane. He stayed on the plane. And then it went through Gemini. He incarnated. All right. He was probably at the back of the plane because his Saturn's at the end. So people who were born before, they left first. And then what happened was Saturn went into Scorpio. So he got off the plane. Okay. And the Saturn and Scorpio incarnation plane boarded. And that's what led to, of course, your birth. You can also think of it as the plane landed, he left, and then you had to go to a connecting flight to get on the North Node, the Saturn and Scorpio plane. But the reason why this is so important, because you usually see like twin flame or soulmate contacts 7 years apart from each other or around the same age. We always want to look at the outer planets because it doesn't matter if you have the greatest compatibility ever. If your destinies and your karma clash, you're one of you is gonna have a job that takes you away from the other. Like you won't even really like you end up actually, end up like clashing with each other more. And you can still get along really well. So we want to make sure that the destiny and the Saturns connect. The fact that they're both next to each other is a good sign, and you both have the same destiny path. Okay, he's just a bit more further ahead than you, given that he's attacking this at a different level. Saturn Libra North Node Gemini is a much more social responsibility with everything he's going to uncover. And here's the most important part. He's a Gemini, so Sun. And so he's the captain of your destiny group. Any other Gemini is also the captain. Any other Sag is like the co-captain. But this is a very special man. Like, once again, 4 degree Sag Moon, 4 degree Gemini Sun. That is so rare. Like, the astronomical odds for him to have an exact opposition is proof that this is one of the most magical people left. But once again, this completion of Sun and Moon, it's specifically geared to transform you at the core and have you accomplish your destiny. I want you to definitely see him as someone who pre-arranged to meet with you so that when you're ready, he can literally guide and forge the way for you to manifest everything you're meant to accomplish, which is so symbolic and beautiful. I mean, I was going to say I almost want to cry, but that's a lie because I have a Capricorn moon, but I'm just touched. I am just touched. This is magic, yo. This is amazing. In fact, I'm so curious to how you met, because it has to be magic. Did he just like appear out of nowhere? Did you just feel like you've known him your whole life? Because this is amazing. And when we take into account, once again, the Scorpio rising affinity, him being in your 8th house, he's going to be someone who's very or primal desire. And he's going to affect you in a way that triggers deep intimacy. As a fellow Gemini, like, it's very easy for us to affect Scorpio and Scorpio risings in a way that get them obsessed with us. But like, we may never know because Scorpio's not going to tell you. Like, they're not Aries that's going to really be forward. Scorpio could be so secretive about this. And like, there's a very psychic, magical effect Gemini has on the Scorpio rising or Scorpio that they may not even be the most aware of. And it's something that really induces and triggers the catalyst for the most extreme sense of transformation. So knowing that he's destined to do this and he has God of War Mars here, it's going to make this a very intimately sexual relationship through the vehicle of conversations and words. We also see that your chirons are so close to each other, which is not a coincidence. You're going to really share in this healing sense of vulnerability. In fact, we see that your Chiron's in Gemini in his Sun and his Chiron's in Taurus, where your energy is. So that mutual receptivity is so symbolic. It really speaks of the mutual healing that will come through. If you find that there's challenges and arguments at first, this is actually a good thing because it's through the consistency that will smoothen this out. But what really draws me to the conclusion that this is prearranged is Jupiter, Uranus, and Moon on the MC that is on your South Node, because this is what's going to denote how receptive and amazing he is at really impacting your self-esteem. I mean, Jupiter and Uranus here with his MC take his career influence and allow this to add so much value to you. It's actually really amazing that his earth houses are aligned with your earth houses and that his rising sign is your 5th house. So like, one of the key marriage indicators in astrology is when someone's moon is like not only in a person's 1st house, but like on the AC. Your soul is an instrument for his personality. And this is going to have you sync moods emotionally. When you're around, he'll automatically feel how you feel. And this is actually potential to clash. It's not a coincidence that this is a master of magic. Pisces is magic. Gemini is magic. and Sag is magic. So if we think that you also have fixed energy, he is a prince. The thing with prince, if you notice, mutable is after mutable is after fixed, whereas fixed is king and queen. Mutable is prince and princess. In a weird way, prince and princess actually has a higher rank than king or queen. So when I call him a prince, I don't mean that to undermine him. It's actually an amazing attainment. This is easily one of the princes of magic. So like, he can make stuff happen at the snap of a finger. It's supernatural. And so this is where both of you help each other out, because he's your magic man. Definitively. He is your magic. Like, if I could just nip this in the bud, this is your magic man. And you, okay, are the queen who holds it down. When we speak of the strength, okay, whereas he lacks strength but has skill in magic, you have the strength, okay, to back up and also, you know, guide, if we think about that, the actions that he's going to help forge and lead forward. This is fascinating. This is very fascinating. We also see that his Venus is in your 9th house. So as far as sexual compatibility is concerned, his Mars connects with your Venus, not in a perfect sextile, but the energy is still very compatible. So you have a very courageous and passionate heart, and that's going to mix with his free flow charged spirit to intellectually connect with the exciting, passionate nature of your heart. He's going to lead forward your excitement intellectually. However, your hearts do clash, because as passionate as he is, the creative potential of his heart is deeply sincere, and sometimes the authentic, raw nature of that may clash with his more subdued, deeper nature. But he's going to understand that, and this same square has the potential to be even more super powerful. We do also see that his Saturn and Pluto oppose your Venus and Mercury. This is a potential for clash, especially because it's going to intensify a lot of how this brings up whatever limitations clash in relation to every time you actually express this heat of your Aries and how that Libra energy interacts with it. And this could actually even play out with outside influences that he knows, okay? It doesn't have to even be just him. It is a bit nebulous, but it's not really bad as much as it is mildly challenging. Because both of you have Uranus in Sag, the double presence of it just amplifies the unconventional nature of Jupiter, of Uranus, which will trigger his Jupiter. And it speaks of a much more clear connection together. But once again, you are someone who's going to understand his character innately. And this could even, because it's in Pisces, it can lend to like shared blended experiences. Once again, okay, we also see that, all right. And then your Mars is in Scorpio. So both of you have a very amazing Mars-Venus connection. His Venus in Cancer is going to deeply connect with your sexual deep desire, and the integrity of it will definitely allow him to be safe to express his sincere love for you. I just kind of want to emphasize, no matter how, because things can get difficult. If there's any trouble with the relationship, it's going to be outside people who want to kind of like, in a weird way, get in between you. But other than that, you know, this is so important to establish the destiny element of it. When people are on your North Node, they challenge you to accomplish what you're meant to. They give you the awareness of it. But to be on the South Node too definitely means that he understands where you're coming from and what you're developing. Ironically, he's a 4th house sun, so he's all about helping people understand the truth at a deeper level. And of course, the Chiron reception brings much healing. The Mercury conjunction brings telepathy. And this is what's going to allow you to really be aware of his mind. I also have Mercury in Taurus, so I have very amazing conversations with Tauruses because the Mercury element literally just stimulates conversation, and it's very easy to be on the same page as to what they're already aware of. But I just have to kind of be clear. This directly indicates telepathy, especially because your Saturn's opposite this, which is going to stabilize at a deep psychological level a lot of how he thinks. It's also going to be a source of arguments because you're going to heavily criticize almost everything he says. And this is where I get to a different element. There's a very strange relationship with Taurus and Gemini. Taurus loves and hates Gemini. Scorpio is obsessively in love with Gemini and also seriously hates Gemini. And it's our fault. It's literally our fault. Like we kind of deserve it, but like, yeah, it's really strange though, energetically, because like there's just this the clash. It's not there still is an energetic clash. Like the very nature of Gemini and even his Sag moon will irk you. And it's less to do with him, and it's just more the energy. It's still not going to stop you from also loving him too, because remember, we also have very supporting energy in fire that will actually aid him. But your moon does square his sun, and so a lot of what he says with his Mars will really clash insensitively with how you feel, and he doesn't really mean it, even though it may seem like that. From experience, like I could be very oblivious to how the things I say can really, because Pisces moon can be very sensitive. Thankfully, you're very strong though, so it's not like you're weak or anything. But other than that, if we look at the composite chart, both of you are composite moon in Capricorn, sun in Taurus. So both of you have the vibration of incredible value. Now, because the composite goes back to Taurus, you are the stronger one in this relationship. And what I mean by that is you actually have the most influence here. He's definitely the more magical and perceptive one. However, whenever the composite sun is in the same sun as one of the people, it shows that the pull of influence is definitely going to be with that sun, which in this case is you. However, his influence on the destiny of relationship will still be unmatched and very evident. The moon that's in Capricorn is going to allow both of you to really control very in organized ways a lot of the practical nature of this relationship. And so the trine to the sun is such a blessing because this is going to really make for free flow of communication. You can tell a lot about the nature of it by what's next to the sun. We see Chiron, we see Mercury. So this is definitely going to be a grounded, creative, fun relationship. The fifth house is about romance. The fifth house is about creativity. The fifth house is about children. So both of you, now that Uranus is transiting this, are going to really creatively express together. Let me tell you why this is very important. Your relationship is awakening now for the first time ever because Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn are blessing you with new cycles. So everything that you're going through with this person is very destined. The North Node is returning. So like this was written in the stars long before y'all were born, and my mind is blown. Wow. You have this 12th house Sagittarius energy too. So both of you, the private connection between both of you is super, 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 supernatural. Okay, both of you can come into clairvoyant visions together, especially tantrically. Now, here's the thing. The intuition both of you have is unparalleled because of the 29-degree Neptune. But this is what I was saying before. Remember how I was like, I don't know why, but I feel like certain people will get in between you. This is the 12th house. It's the house of hidden enemies. So you want to be very mindful of people who may be jealous of the connection you both have. And it might be weird because there's really no reason to. But, some people are just evil. Anyway, Pluto squares the moon. So that can bring some prejudice from other people if they have a problem with their relationship. Not like both of you would care because both of you are super powerful. Both of you are not only super powerful, but you're super valuable together. Cap Moon, Taurus Sun is a version of a power couple that makes a lot of money, and the ruler of this chart is in the 11th house. So this is really, you both have the potential to come into great success together. I really hope you enjoyed this report. 2020 is going to really complete this. Both of you are destined to return to each other so that you can accomplish your destiny together. And if that isn't, a love story of the ages, I don't know what else is. But thank you for giving me the privilege of reading this. You stay blessed as always. Until next time. Peace.